Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Mashin Sentai Kiramager episode 27. And this was a little bit of a mini cameo episode involving Gekiranger, which was pretty cool and also pretty random. Like, this was ultimately pretty harmless and I actually thought was actually pretty well done and kind of heartfelt in a way, and I really enjoyed it. And I love Gekiranger, if you guys know, if you've been following me a long time, because it was my first Sentai. Still in my top 5, so it gave me a lot of nostalgic feelings. But at the same time, despite the fact that I was happy to see it, and I thought it was well done, I was also like, but why? So anyway, this episode was a Senna focus episode, as she was training at the beginning of this episode, and we have two employees slash side characters from scratch, which were Miki and the other one, whose name I never remembered in the original series, and I still don't remember it, but like I sort of remembered her, and then they showed the flashback, and I'm like, oh yeah! But yeah, those two are from Gekiranger, and they are working for Scratch, so they're helping Senna, who's trying to train. And the episode starts with that, and it starts with them kind of explaining Jan speak from Gekiranger, which was basically like little funny words and catchphrases he used to describe things like Zozoa being evil, because he grew up with pandas. And this was one of my favorite parts of the episode, because I liked Jan speak. Let's go back to an earlier, less jaded Dawson who wasn't beaten down by tokusatsu and its fandom, who found Jan to be kind of charming, because I wasn't used to the crackhead Red yet. And he also made sense, because he was raised in the wild, and he wasn't just someone who grew up in normal society but acts like they're missing a brain and it was replaced with a hamster. So I liked Jan, and I liked Jan speak, and I liked the way it was used in this episode, both for kind of humor and the sort of meaning behind it. And so they kind of describe all that to her, and I really liked that. And then when they go back to the base, they kind of give you a history lesson in case you didn't know about Gekiranger, and they talk about what Scratch was. You get a little bit of flashbacks to Gekiranger and who the characters were, which was kind of neat. And so then they strap this fanny pack to Senna, so that she can like track her running, and she was like very heavily featured in this episode, and you know, she looked just as hot as Jan, but in a different way. And so she's doing that while the other Rangers go off to fight the threat of the super glue monster, and they're like, wait a minute, didn't we already fight? You're like, no, that was my brother. I'm actually the super glue monster because we ran out of budget. So it's been clear that Kiramagers cut corners even more so than some Sentai to save money, and this was definitely one of them. It's never bothered me. I actually found it kind of amusing. I almost felt like they were winking at the camera with it in this episode. But they're fighting while Senna's running, and then Senna gets in that sort of classic trap where someone's like either running or they're on a treadmill or and someone straps a bomb to it or whatever, and I almost want to call him the Zozo. I guess that's right. And the Udon, they create like a fanny pack bomb thing, and they glue it onto her so she can't escape it. So she's forced to keep running, and then Garza and the others show up to where Miki is and threaten her, and she kind of gives a code to Senna. She uses John speak to sort of give code words to her to figure out what to do so that she can meet up with the other Kiramagers and they can help her remove it, which was cool. Again, I like the way that came into this, and they brought that up with like the John speak and learning it and using it. It was like kind of a cool way to tie it to Gekiranger in a meaningful way. And then they free her, and then during the episode, the monster super glued the Careful Go arrow to a bike. And they get it off, they get it on the bike and they transform with it on the bike, which I found to be amusing. And they defeat the monster, and Senna gets a really nice moment where she actually transforms solo with the arrow, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was a really good episode for her. I liked her in this episode. It was a good focus episode for her. And then, you know, we get the big monster and they fight it with Zabun and Gigant Driller, and then they use the green car version of Mach to defeat the monster of the week. And then at the end, they just kind of, you know, wrap things up in a nice way of like, oh, we understand John speak now. And I think it was it Miki Miki or Niki Niki? Or whatever it was, meant like, you know, always be positive and continue to try at your goals, more or less. And I thought it was a nice episode with that. Like, the Gekiranger cameo was so random. Like, I don't know why they did it. Like, because, you know, Sentai is all in the same universe, but also it isn't. So, like, I'm not sure why they decided to do it exactly, because they're I mean, obviously the Rangers didn't appear, but they're pretty unrelated series. You have a martial arts animal-themed series, and then you have a crystal machine-based series. The only similarity is kind of with, like, the Carrot organization and the way that they work, which they even bring up in this episode. But it was harmless, though. I actually really enjoyed it, and, like, no joke, I found it to be more of an endearing little mini crossover than a lot of the actual crossovers we've gotten in Sentai Rider in recent years, because it was kind of charming, like with using the John speak and then tying it back to what it meant in a heartfelt way in the show, and then tying it to this one and having it focus on a Kiramager, and so you get a little bit of a focus episode too within it, and it was just kind of a really enjoyable episode just as a Kiramager episode, but also a little bit of a nostalgic throwback for Gekiranger, even though it was kind of random. So I really enjoyed this episode. I would give it an 8.5. But what did you guys think? Did you like this little mini Gekiranger cameo? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.